Brett, let's roll into our hot seat questions. We're going to put Brett on the hot seat real quick. So, Brett, starting over, what would you do differently?
I think I would have hired and scaled earlier, honestly. I did a lot of the business with my dad, and he was a teacher, and we did the business for about 5 or 6 years kind of together. And then he stepped more in the retirement, and that's when I started building the team. But I wish that I would have scaled earlier and started hiring and not had that fear. I did a lot of just stuff that I really didn't want to do. I didn't enjoy doing. And I wish that I would have started thinking of it like a business, and someone would have came alongside me and said, Brett, like, why are you doing that? You could hire this guy over here to do that, and he really needs that job, and you could really focus on something else that you're really good at. So I think that I would have done that and not had the brain damage of 6 or 7 years just doing everything on my own, because it's a huge sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean, been there, done that. Just, I'm going to do it all on my own. So, hey, guilty.
I know.
What do you believe is one characteristic? And I know that there's many, but coming from Brett's perspective, what is one characteristic that you absolutely have to have in order to be a high producing investor?
Well, this is a characteristic that I really admire, honestly. I don't think it's one that you have to have. The one characteristic that I highly admire is humbleness, honestly. When I see a CEO or a business owner that has the humbleness, that's just admirable to me, honestly. And I think that, so this year's been really interesting, or 2020 was really interesting for me. Like, I actually stepped out of the wholesaling business, and I have a CEO now. So, like, honestly, I don't work hardly at all in the business, but that took a lot of humbleness, honestly, for me to do that. And so when you start to scale your team and you start to let go and you start to let other people run your baby that you have been raising for all these years, and this year, 2020, well, last year, I guess, I really had to just let go. And that took, I'm not the face of the company anymore. I'm not making any of the decisions. Even the vision and the core values have sort of changed to the people running the company now. So I think humbleness is a huge quality that if you really want to lead and have the freedom, you got to be humble, because it's just interesting. So.
Okay. Just a sidebar question. How did you find that CEO? Was it someone that rose up through the ranks?
It was, yeah. Okay. So 2017, I met a gentleman, and he was a friend of mine named Brian, and he was a teacher, honestly. And he'll say he's making about $40,000 a year. He was a teacher for 14 years, and we were friends. And he wanted to get out of teaching, and I knew he had good leadership qualities, so I hired him in the company. And then it just kind of organically happened over the last 3 years. So he was kind of our marketing manager for a while, and then he became our dispositions manager. He would sell all of our properties for us. And then he became COO, which really run the operations. And I was the visionary CEO running the vision. And then last year, 2020, I had enough of that, and I just wanted my freedom. And so I just said, hey, you want to be CEO and run everything? And he said, yes.
Okay, perfect. What is one good book recommendation that you have for us?
I'll give 2 good book recommendations, if that's okay, Marcus.
Sure.
Number one, like, one book that really, really changed my life was way back in the day, and it was called The Millionaire Next Door. And this is a book that, it's really not about real estate, but it's about money, and it's really studying millionaires. And at that time, I was a substitute school teacher, and I was driving a really nice car that I couldn't afford. And I really wanted to look wealthy. I wanted to look rich, even though I was really just dead broke. And the book talks a lot about that, about people that are really driving the super fancy cars, and they really aren't rich at all. They're actually just in a lot of debt, and they want to look rich. And the real millionaires, I mean, this isn't, I'm not talking about celebrities and the super
Right.
flashiness over here. I'm
Right.
talking about just the normal millionaires. You wouldn't have ever known that they were, because they just live next door to you in their $200,000 house and they drive their used Ford, and you just would never know they're a millionaire. So that really changed my perspective on it, about being frugal. And that's why I didn't go out and buy the fancy Ferrari, is
Yep.
because that book really changed me. And I don't think I would be where I am today if I didn't read that book and do that. That's one book, The Millionaire Next Door.
Okay.
The second book, and this is for the men out there. This is a book that really changed my life last year. And this isn't even a real estate book either, but it's about purpose and it's about identity. And it's a book called The True Measure of a Man. And it's by a gentleman named Richard E. Simmons, and really just shook me to the core about my identity. And that really kind of positioned me this year, where I had to let go of some of that, because the reason I didn't want to let go was because I was so sucked into the identity of everything. Great book, True Measure of a Man.
Okay. All right.